Here's the thing about Germany, why I made a curator's deck of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. Community, heart, crazy.
This is another great episode of the Film Review. What's going on? This is Crazy D. Streamcasting live. We're gonna have a special guest in a few minutes. What's going on, people? Lordlandfilmsdotcom. This is Crazy D. I am sitting here with a true funketeer, a true bass master. I'm speaking of none other than Vaughan Jammin Big Guitar Mason. Let me tell you, people, I am pumped over here because, you know, Jammin Big Guitar, that was the jam. And, I can't sing. Excuse me. Jammin, what's the line?
It moves and grooves.
Naturally, it feels so good to you.
That
all in motion and smooth and round, that magic potion makes you come down.
Everybody jamming everywhere, put your body into it.
Put your hands in the air.
Don't worry about if you feel too hot, just lay back and let your body rock. I got the man doing it. I got it right there. I ain't got to do nothing but just watch him go at it. He has to go. We have to go.
Tell me about that keyboard line there, that stab. Break the song down for me, you know. Okay. Break it down for me. Like, how did it come together, and how did you put in the bridges that you used, and how did you develop the chorus or the hook?
Okay, so you want me to give away all the trade secrets?
Well, I mean, the song is such a classic.
I don't mind sharing information.
Okay.
That's what I'm here for. I mean, I want everybody to know how to do it because I'm not a musician. I would not consider myself a musician. Why? Because if little Susie gets up in church and starts singing, there's no way I'm going to know what bass note to hit on a bass guitar or a piano. There are people that can play their butts off. They can hear little Susie hit the first note and know she's going to go here, here, or there. I learned to play by rote. I know bounce rock skate roll on the bass guitar. I know Jammin Big Guitar on the bass guitar. I know break for love on the bass guitar. Other than that,
okay, what do you mean by by rote?
By repetition.
Repetition, okay.
You don't put any music in front of me because I don't know how to read music. You asked how another one bites the dust is exactly the template that I used for the changes to Jammin Big Guitar. They went doom, doom, doom. Another one bites the dust. I went boom, boom, boom. They went doom, doom. They hit the same note 3 times. So it's a mathematical formula. That's what you have to understand. It has nothing to do with the music. The music is proven. If you're trying to make a hit record, you can't copyright the feel of a song. So
is that right? Because
there'd only be one song that was a reggae song that go doom doom ba 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 boo ba boo ba ba ba. You know,
there's so many that sound like that.
You can't copyright a feel.
Rhythm.
So so why would you try to reinvent the wheel? I guarantee you, people want to. I get people all the time that come into the recording studio, engineering and how to build a recording studio and put a song together. That I know, but playing it. When I did a song called "Break for Love," it's just 3 chords. Ding, dong, ding. I had to slow the tempo down. So I went bring, 2, 3, 4, let up. Went to another track on the sequencer, heard the first chord, and then had my hand ready for the second chord. Ding, dong, off. I mean.
Okay, so you used the latest technology at the time to come.
Not for Jammin Big Guitar. There was no. When I did Bounce Rock Skate Roll, the first song I'm really known for, I met the lead singer, the bongo player, the guitar player that night. I called down from New York City. I was making $125 a week working in a stereo store on Trinity Place.
Okay, so let's back up just a little bit as
New
you
York
tell
City.
this story. Okay,
Go on.
so you're working at the stereo store
In New York
right?
City.
Mhm. Were you into music, or was this just an epiphany that came to you? Like, why were you working in the store? You liked sound equipment. You were more like an engineer, and were you into music then, or were you into more electronics?
Well, the electronics didn't start until, we're talking 1979. No, I started playing the guitar when I was 13. I was born in Harlem, New York, and I was raised in Yonkers, New York, with Jews and Italians. So, of course, when the Beatles came out, oh, I wanted these Negro naps to be able to fly in the wind so I could go, woo, and shake my head and have the hair go. Oh, I wanted all that. That wasn't going to happen. It needed to have a hurricane before this stuff would blow. That said, the Beatles came out. I wanted a guitar for my 13th birthday. I'm 68 years old, so we're talking 55 years ago. And my father took me to Manny's Music, and for my 13th birthday, he bought me a Fender Mustang. I wanted the Stratocaster, but he didn't believe I was going to stick with it, so he bought me the lesser expensive Fender. That said, I learned to play a song, I didn't practice the scales or any of that. My father was an OBGYN surgeon. He delivered all Thurgood Marshall's kids. He delivered Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was Lou Alcindor back in the day. He was out of Harlem, New York. He delivered a whole lot of people. Anyway, that said, he was into education. So when he played flute in his school, he knew how to read around the corner. I just wanted to have fun. I'm not trying to do all that work. You got to practice. I wanted to practice a song and do all that. So that said, I only know how to play literally bounce, rock, skate, roll, jam, big guitar, break for love on the bass guitar. If I'm gonna learn another song, I can sit there and pick it out by ear, but I've got to, now I got to play it over and over and over again. You're not going to put music in front of me and I just get it like that. And I'm not a musician.
So kind of like James Brown. He just hummed the melodies to his musicians.
No, he was a musician. He
But
could
he
play the
didn't-
drums
he
and he could play the organ.
But he didn't read music.
No. But
He could play by ear. So that's what I'm saying.
But
right?
yes, he could play by ear, but he was a musician in the sense that if somebody tried to play some chords or whatever, a bass line, he was proficient enough to be able to, I've heard this routine before. I know if he's starting here, there's only two places this guy can go from there. I don't know any of that. So they know it's a circle of fifths, but he knew that. So from that standpoint, he was a musician, but not that he reads. A lot of guys don't read.
So did you program like the drum patterns and all
None
that?
of that. MIDI. Musical Instrument Digital Interface. That's what MIDI stands for. None of that existed. If the drummer didn't show up, if the bass player didn't show up, if the keyboard player did not show up, there was no session. I mean, you're just sitting there clapping your hands. I mean, the clap track was, we did 4 tracks of claps with 4 people, and that's what, when you hear bounce, rock, skate, roll, that's what you hear when it gets to the hook. Why did I clap the hands on the hook and not the verse? Because Chic didn't clap their hands on Good Times. If you take Good Times and line it up with bounce, rock, skate, roll, it's gonna move the same way. That was the formula. What the formula was take a hit record. How did I know it's a hit record? Because I went to Billboard magazine in 1979 and looked at every chart, and I was looking for a song that was in the top 10 of the Hot 100. Radio play, club play, 12-inch dance sales, which they don't have that anymore because they don't sell 12-inch dance records anymore, and club play. And Good Times was across the board in the top 10. So I said, that's the song. I'm glad I like the song. I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to ask you a question I ask everybody. If I go dun 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 dun, what's the next line?
Dun 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 dun.
Fine. Okay. A reasonable amount of number of times. Don't say a million, please. That you've heard the song. Whoop! There it is. How many times have you heard that record?
Oh, countless.
Well, just give me a number.
let's say hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times. I'm going to do the hook, you do the first verse. Whoop, dead. Excuse me. I'm going to do the hook, you're going to do the first verse. When I point to you, that's your cue. Whoop, there it is, first verse. Whoop, there it is, first verse. He don't know it. Whoop, there it is, first verse. And you've heard it hundreds of times. And this is my point. I'll get guys in the recording studio that'll be like, oh, wait a minute, Vaughan. I got to write some heavy lyrics. No, mofo, you don't. This guy just said he heard a song hundreds of times, and you think because it's your song, it's so damn important. Nobody gives a shit. All they remember is whoop, there it is.
All they remember is the hook.
But check this out. Look at it. Here's the mathematical formula. There's more to it. Bounce, rock, skate, roll was my hook. I did it by accident. Dun, 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 4 notes. Whoop, there it is, first 4 notes. It's the most powerful set of notes you can have in music. And I did it by accident. Bounce, rock, skate, roll is the string line hit from Good Times. Good am. Bow times. Are you safe? Or whatever the heck they say. So I went, I can't go bounce, I can't go good times, so I took the string line. It's a mathematical formula. E equals MC squared. Don't question it, just apply it. And that's what people don't do when they hit the studio. I gotta be creative. No, yeah, a little bit. You gotta get creative with the melody and whatever you're singing or rapping about. But other than that, you want a song that as soon as a DJ, unless you got, well, we're not on radio now, right? This isn't radio, right? Okay. Unless you got money to pay somebody to play your fucking record, you want the DJs to break it. And when a DJ is in a club playing a song, and I'm going to ask you, when you have a DJ playing in a club and the dance floor is ass to elbow with people dancing, tell me what he's doing. While that's happening, what's he doing in the DJ booth?
Oh, he's figuring out the next records is going to keep the floor ass to elbow.
Thank you. And most people don't get it. So what? Now I give him one of my songs that has no feel of any song that's happening on the charts, in the clubs, or whatever. You have to do your homework. When I go to a club, I'm looking at, oh, he put that record on, and Jesus Christ, the dance floor got ass to elbow. He put this other song on, and it didn't. I don't want that song. But I go to Billboard magazine, it'll tell you what to play. Anyway, that said, you're absolutely correct. So why am I going to give you a record that, how can he mix this in? A DJ is working. He's trying to find tools that he can play and make the dance floor stay packed. The last thing a DJ wants to see is the floor not to get ass to elbow. So why are you going to give him some creative crap that has nothing to do with, that's musical? Nobody gives a shit about music. Whoop, there it is. You've heard it 100 times. You couldn't tell me what the next line is. But if you played that groove, so let's take that song. Whoop, whatever that groove is to whoop, there it is, you can't copyright that beat or the feel of that. You can't copyright whatever, if it goes bop, boop, boop, bop. I mean, come on, that's freestyle music all day long. Cynthia and Lisa had that same.
You can't stop the music too. I mean,
right.
Can't stop the music. Right.
But I locked in when I did bounce, rock, skate, roll. The drummer, there was no MIDI, there was no electronics. The drummer actually played to hearing Good Times in his headphones, because that's the first thing I did on the 2-inch 24-track tape, was on track 23 and 24, left and right, I recorded Good Times by Chic, the long version, and that's what he was fed through the headphones, and he sat there, and I wanted isolation. So as a recording engineer, I did not want him playing a drum set. I wanted control of just that snare drum. So the first thing he did was sit there and just, Good Times, he just sat there and pounded on the snare drum for 5 minutes and however long. I took the snare drum away because I didn't want that ringing. I put the bass drum in front of it. Good Times. These are the, and he sat there and kicked that bass drum for 5 minutes and however long. Then he came back and played the 8th note hi-hat. He played that through the whole song.
So you were basically, because they didn't have samplers at the time, or they were just getting ready to come out?
No, it was a long time.
Long time.
It was
But you were
1980.
basically sampling.
I was. That's all. Yes. That's all a tape recorder is. It's a sample. But I wanted isolation and control of each sound
Each individual
or sample,
sound.
so that when you're mixing it, if I wanted the snare drum a certain way, that's why I used a keyboard bass. I set that keyboard up to play the bass line because if you have a bass guitarist, it's a human being. They're not going to strike that bass note the same with the same intensity every time. I set the attack on the keyboard to, you touch it soft or hard, it was going to go no matter how soft or hard that he touched it. And I gave him, this is the bass line. And I had mapped out every time good times changed. Like if they went to drums for 16 measures and then they did a cymbal crash, oh, we went 16 measures and then there was a cymbal crash. Or if they went 16 measures, go on.
No, go ahead.
If they went 16 measures and the verse came in, because they started with the hook. When the hook ended, there was a hook bass line. That was the dunk, 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 dunk. That was just repeated. So what I did was every time, that was the hook bass line. Then during the verse, they went dunk, 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 dunk. Whatever they did there, that was bass line number 2. So I got on a piece of paper and between the 2 hashtags was a line, and from here to here was 8 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 8. Then 6.
So you count
9,
measures
6.
and bars.
I charted it out. I don't write music, but I can write time, when things came in, when things go out, and I'll do that to this day. Why am I trying to reinvent the wheel?
So speaking, let's apply that to music today. You'll hear songs that use the same, I'll just call it breakbeat, and they make hits off of that same drum pattern, the same breakbeat. Isn't that the same type of formula? What
No.
differentiates your music of what you were doing, which is I would call original sampling without the sampler, and what they do today, which is what you say, and the 2-part question. So what sets yours apart from what's happening now, besides the live instrumentation? And 2, wouldn't that be what you were doing? Wouldn't that be kind of like the beginning of what we hear now with the cookie cutter industry that we have now, where they make a hit from off of another hit by using your formula?
Well, when you first said it, you said they take a drum loop and then they do something with it. They take a familiar drum loop. Isn't that what you said at first?
Yeah. Well, it's a familiar drum loop, but then they have to break it into the bar counts.
Right.
But
I'm talking about the music that goes on top of it.
Right.
If they just take the drum loop, it's not the same as what I'm doing or did, because when do they bring in the vocal? How many measures did it go before the vocal came in? What vocal was it? Was it the hook or the verse or the pre-chorus? I mean, I'm getting detailed like that. I'm not trying to be, you know what I'm trying to get creative with? Do I want the beige leather seats in the purple Lamborghini? Now, that's what I'm in it for. Now, if you want to jerk off thinking you're the best musician, you can go right the fuck ahead. That's great. But don't ask me for fucking bus fare, motherfucker. I'm trying to tell you how to do the shit. It's how it's worked for me. I haven't worked a real job since 1980. I became the opening act. Prince was doing I Want to Be Your Lover, coming out with the thong and everything, and Rick James was doing Mary Jane, and I traveled all over with them. And I'm not a musician, and I run into people that are so talented. They can sing their asses off, they can play their asses off, but they can't keep it simple, stupid, because either they're trying to impress their boys or whatever. And if you want to impress your boys, fine. The boy you want to, I don't want to call him a boy, the man you want to impress is Floyd Mayweather Jr., because he can buy you the Lamborghini. Now, if your boys can't do that for you, then, excuse me, because they're not coming if you need a kidney. So how much of a boy are they? But that's a whole nother segment. But I rest my case.
So let's go through some of the songs here. So we have Bounce, Rock, Skate, Roll. My one question about that is, how did you decide? Because you told me how the breakdown was and what you took. How did you decide to say bounce, rock, skate, roll which brings you back to the one on Bounce. How did you decide that melody would go roll? Because you already told me how you got it.
How did I get it?
You told me that you took, it's 4 notes.
But it's the string line of Good Times.
Good Times, right.
Do you know Good Times?
Yeah,
Can you sing the
these
hook?
are the good times.
No, I want you to say
okay.
so they can hear where you got.
Okay, I can't remember.
Well,
it off the top of it.
just Good Times. These
Good
are the good
times.
times. Are you some or blind? Right. So it went good and the strings went. So sing good
Times.
and go on.
These are the good times. The houses behind.
Right. That's what the string line did. What you heard me going and then bow. I said I can't go good times. The mathematical formula. I need something to cover M.
I mean, my question. No, I got that.
M.
My question is, why did you decide to put roll as the 4th instead of using it at the top?
Well, it wouldn't.
Because most people say when they say your title of the song, they don't say bounce, rock, skate. They say roll.
And that gives you an example of how people don't hear the first thing. That's why when you say something to somebody, they say, "Oh yeah, I got that." They didn't get it because everybody goes. Rock, roll, skate, bounce. That's how a lot of people say it. I don't care how they say it as long as they bought it. But the whole thing was, I came up with the idea about roller skating because I was reading in the Wall Street Journal in 1979, making $125 a week in a stereo store. My friend just graduated from the Wharton School of Business in Philly, and he was working for Citicorp. And he said, you should play some stocks. I don't have any money. I was making $125 a week. Well, just buy the Wall Street Journal. On the front of the Wall Street Journal, to this day, it's called What's News. And I turned to the page, and they were selling 300,000 pairs of roller skates a month. I said, I can't go wrong writing a song about roller skating. I went to the Empire roller skating rink and stood on the side, and everybody that was teaching somebody else how to skate would be skating backwards and holding the hand. And they say, come on, bend at the knees, bounce, bounce. Oh, skate and roll was easy. So that was it. So bounce, rock, skate, roll, repeat. Was what they
Were you in the studio before then? You were working at the stereo store. Were you in the studio, or was this an epiphany because you read the Wall Street Journal, you went to the roller skating rink to check it out, you saw that, you said, I got to get into the studio and do this?
I had an idea. Well, like I said, when I was 13, I started playing. Right. And then from there, I started my own recording studio, and when I went to Howard University, I had a house and I started a recording studio. So I've been engineering well before that. Then I started engineering at a place in Washington, D.C. It was called Arrest Records at the time, and they had the latest 24-track and the MCI 24 2-inch, and I did that. And then I moved back to New York City, and I got this idea, and I called down to John Freeman. He wrote Step Right Up, Hurry, Hurry, the sideshow. He wrote that song. I didn't even know what the song was. He was my keyboard player, but he was still working at that studio. I said, hey, I'm making $125 a week. Let's do this on the down low at a time when it's like 12 to 6 where the owner doesn't know what's going on, and get me a lead vocalist, a bongo player, and a guitar player. I'm bringing the drummer. And I came there with the idea and the map. I knew exactly where I wanted it. Jerome Bell was the lead singer. I sent him on a mission while I was recording each instrument separately. I sent him off and he wrote lyrics. I told him what the hook was and what the song was about. He came up with the verses. I gave the drummer, which I regret to this day, but I gave him a percentage of the writers. He didn't write one damn fucking note. Greg Buford didn't write a fucking note, but and then he went behind my back and tried to go.
Okay, the views expressed.
I'm sorry?
The views expressed by Vaughan Mason are not the views of, we just have to make that clear. And we have to say, today we say allegedly to cover ourselves. Allegedly. Let's clean it up. Allegedly, he never wrote a note. Okay, go ahead.
As he was I got you. I do whatever you got to do. Anyway, or take it out, whatever you want. But anyway, so that's how the song, I made acetates of it. They were $35 a plate. It's the first step in making a vinyl record. But you take it to a place, they play the tape, they cut it in, you have a vinyl acetate record, and they were $30. So it was
And how long did those last? Just for people's knowledge, how long did they last before they disintegrate? Because I heard that acetate disintegrated.
Yeah, they start really getting noisy. I don't know how many plays, because I'm not a DJ. I never played. I was trying to get it to the DJs, and any DJ that I gave it to in New York City that played it within a half an hour of me standing there, I let him keep it, and then I went and got another one. And 11 o'clock at night, I was living on my friend's couch in Brooklyn, and the phone rang, and it was Ray Daniels from Brunswick Records. Do you have a record deal? No. I'm at this club called Tribeca's, and the DJ has been telling me all about this song. And and this is where I got this expression. When he put that record on, the dance floor got ass to elbow. And he said, do you have a record deal? I said, no. Do you want one? He said, yes. I hung up the phone. I was hitting Mariah Carey notes. I mean, I was I blew my lungs out.
So were these record deals? Because this is good. I'm glad that you brought this around to this, because that's where I was going next. Were these record deals single record deals, or were you getting album deals, or how did that break down in the vinyl era?
Literally, it broke down that Charles Huggins, I'm going to take you back a little bit. Charles Huggins, Melba Moore's husband, Melba was on Broadway at the time. Some girl saw me walking around. I used to dress in like what you'd see Rick James dress in with the. I walked around the street in the boots and the whole leotard thing and a cape and shit. So some girl asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm looking for a record deal." So she, "Come with me." So she took me to Charles Huggins, Melba Moore's husband. He signed me to a preliminary management deal. He shopped that record, Bounce Rock Skate Roll, to all these major record companies, Casablanca, all these TK records. He couldn't get arrested with it. It's a fad record. We don't want it. I got Brunswick to call me. I called him and said, "Hey, it's with Brunswick. We have a meeting. Oh, can you come?" He came. He said, he told me before we got there, these are gangsters. You're not going to get paid. They're going to screw you. And this guy was the partner with Berry Gordy in Detroit. It was Nat Turnipole and Berry Gordy. And when they split up in Detroit, Nat took Jackie Wilson and Berry Gordy took Smokey Robinson. And that's how Brunswick started, with that Jackie Wilson. So anyway, so once he said, "Well, if you're going to go with them, he backed out of it. I don't want to be involved." That said, as soon as I had the next meeting with Nat Turnipole, who's unfortunately deceased, I went in there and said, "Listen, the word on the street is, I'm not going to get paid, that this is organized crime." And I said, "Listen, I grew up with Jews and Italians in Yonkers, New York. I know if I treat you straight up and down, you're going to treat me straight up and down." And he respected me for saying that. He may have screwed me, but he put grease on it. Young and Company, when they came in, "I like what you're doing with me," and came in there with brass balls thinking they're all that. Oh, he was up on their ass with boots with spurs on and shit, because, "Oh, you think you got big balls? Let me show you who's boss." Who's got? And I'm trying to think of the other guy that came in there, and once he what was the guy's name? Go on and do it. Go on and do it. Go on, do. Boom, doom, ding, dang. Had a big record. It may come.
It doesn't matter.
When he came in there, acting tough. Ooh. The next 2 days, there was a guy with a bent nose and baseball bats hanging out from that day on. Anyway, I digress, but that's how it went down. That's how I got the record deal.
Okay, so Bounce Rock.
I spent $7,000 to make Bounce Rock Skate Roll. I was flying back and forth. Well, I flew down there one day, but I tried a couple of other songs prior to that, and then it cost me for the acetates. So, I'm a businessman. Hey, this is how much I want. This is how much I spent to make this record. I want my $7,000 back. So my advance was $7,000. It was a single deal. I had publishing, and they, after the fact, said, "Oh, we forgot to add, ask about publishing." So they wanted me to put them on as publisher. So that's what happened with that. So from there, like I said, it took off. Then they asked for another record, and I did a song called Roller Skate, which I thought of leaving from Boston on a coming visiting my sister, and I kept humming this bass line. I was like, I'm gonna forget this bass line. You know, like I had to keep humming it because I thought I was gonna lose it. And that became Roller Skate. And then after that, I did Jammin Big Guitar.
Okay, now Jammin Big Guitar.
Give it to me, 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 nice and hot. Do it to me, please don't stop. Slip it, slide it, give me every inch. Oh, slip it, slide it.
This is the film review. You've been on multiple labels, right? So you signed for the youth out there, non-exclusive contracts?
No.
Or one single?
No.
Okay.
Brunswick Records, Nat Turnipole passed away.
Oh, okay.
And I lucked out in getting the deal with Brunswick because they were going through litigation. They were under investigation for payola. And Chic that came with Dance, Dance, Dance. Niall brought Ray Daniels, the guy that called from the club, who was the vice president of Brunswick Records. Ray wanted that song Dance, Dance, Dance by Chic, but because they were in that legal thing, they couldn't sign anybody. I was the first record out of the gate, and that's why that helped push that record as well. So it was just always a single deal. It was always a single. It was always a single. It wasn't until I got to Salsoul Records, and I got with Salsoul because the drummer that played live at some point, Butch Deo, had made these songs, Roll Along and You Can Do It, and he had me come in there and used my name recognition. So it was Butch Deo and Vaughan Mason, or Vaughan Mason, Butch Deo. I can't even remember how the.
It was your name first.
It was my name first.
Yeah.
Okay. And just a side note, those legs coming up and all that. That was the designer of the label was Attila Shabazz.
Yeah, for those who don't know what he's talking about, we're going to put a picture up, but you'll see himself and Deo on the cover, and they're standing there, and there's female legs and arms coming up towards them, and we were just talking about that off camera, and I said, I don't think that would pass the censor test today, because they would say it's so suggestive and the woman is so subservient. They would just say the woman was underneath. But I say Jammin covers though. But on that was Feel My Love.
Yeah, and that's what's so crazy. It's the only song I've ever sung in my life, and it's the anthem for Orange County, California. They love it out there. It's like when the promoter said in the past 4 years, you got to do this song. I was like, what song? Feel My Love. I'm like, what song is that? I had to go back in my mind to remember what song that was, because we're talking 1984.
Understand, baby, I love you. I love you. Now come on, what you need? Hear me, my arm, bring my vocal up. You and me, understand? We gonna love forever.
Hey, come on.
And then You Can Do It and Party on the Corner.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So all
Yes,
those things.
absolutely.
Do you perform all of those songs now?
I don't, because it's not part of, when I get booked, it's Vaughan Mason and crew. And the promoters want bounce, rock, skate, roll. That's really, I could go out there and just do bounce, rock, skate, roll. Everybody would be happy as far as the promoter. But I do Jammin Big Guitar as well. So, I mean, Feel My Love now, because the promoters ask for it, but it's all West Coast. I mean, I can't get arrested on the East Coast doing a show.
So then you came back in the 90s, well, 89, 90. Not really come back because you've always been working, right? But you came back with Break for Love.
Yes.
Which was a house influenced. Did you do the, now that's drum machine, right?
That is.
Did you do
I played
the
every instrument on that.
So you did the programming.
I did all of that. And I got the feel of the doom 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 when a DJ that played in a strip club in Jersey City met me somehow. I can't remember, Vinny Fraginels, and he was like, he heard how I did Bounce Rock Skate Roll. He said, well, if you did that, if you took that record apart, here's a song that's really happening. Do whatever you did. And that's, I can't remember the name of the record, but they had that same feeling bass line. But in their song, all of a sudden they went to some weird change, and the whole feel of the record changed. And I didn't like that. I never went there. I just, doom, 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 doom. And then I did the talking part. Yeah, baby, I love the way your body moves.
What about the Marvin Gaye family suing T.I. and Pharrell for the track?
Well, I heard Robin Thicke.
Right. Well, it was all three of them.
On CNN, when the person asked them, well, how did you come up with that record? Well, I called Pharrell and told him I wanted a song like Marvin Gaye. Anyway, so that's how that.
But I don't feel
it had
that.
The feel of it.
I don't. But as far as the feel of it, it may be bar counting, but I feel nothing. When they say it's a feel, the bass line's not the same. It's a feel good record, but that is about it.
It had the bottle sound, that clicking sound. It's really a bottle. You use wine bottles, you can get that sound, that ticking sound that you hear. Michael Jackson used it on Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. So it's that, but that's the feel. I haven't lined both of those songs up together to say, I hear it, but it has the feel in it. You'd think it's a Marvin Gaye song. I mean, I can, but it's not the same. The melody's totally different, but it's like those guys are making money off of their live shows.
And Stevie Wonder just told them to quit it. Just
Right,
let it go.
Like,
because they were trying to start to go after other people. And if this is the formula, and everyone knows that it's the formula, I think that it makes the DJ's job a little easier because they can having records that the producer used that formula of using, so they can track and mix. Because there's plenty of records that as me as a DJ back in the 90s, the way that the beats just went, you were like, okay, these are like alike. They're similar. They blend together, same beats per minute. Let's rock the party with it. So I think that if this is what makes it, then why begrudge people for using it if they're doing different melodies, if they're bringing in different ideas?
Well, like I said, if you take P. Diddy, Puff Daddy back in the day, all the stuff he did with Mariah Carey, that was the Tom Tom Club, where she's on the roller coaster and doing that whole video thing. That life is, but that's the Tom Tom
sampling
Club.
Though.
Maze,
they're clearing the sample.
Maze, right? I mean, if you don't clear the sample, just give them their writer's royalty. Just say you didn't do the music. If Nile Rodgers wrote that track and you just stripped it off the record and put another bass line or a drum beat behind it, give Nile Rodgers, hey, he's co-writer, and then take your share. But
right.
I mean, that's what Dr. Dre did. I did a song called Smurfy's Dance. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Wait a minute. Stop.
By Spyder D.
Stop,
That's me on Telstar Records.
Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. You're Spyder D?
No, not Spyder D. I produced Spyder D.
You produced Spyder D.
I produced that record with Butch Dale.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes. And Smurf that body across the floor.
That's me.
That's you playing that bass line?
I don't know if I remember. I'm not a player. No, but I said, yes. Right.
How many hits? I mean, how many hits do you have that people don't know that you're on? That you were the engineer, producer for? Just roughly.
I don't know.
A producer, producer and engineer, because you were in there turning the knobs too, right? So that made you the engineer. But how many of them did you produce that they really didn't know? That they don't know? Just a rough ballpark.
Maybe 10 or 15. Because I did Shante, the Why You Make a Record About Me, the ROXXA. I was the engineer when Marley Marl
But you
and Mr.
mixed the
Magic
sounds.
came in. Well, they came in with it looked like it was just a little metal box that had like a 2 or 3 second sampler, and Marley Marl kept, started laying the beat down, and I started this session at a place called Power Play Studios in Long Island City.
Power Play,
a lot of records came out of there. Oh my God, and Tony Humphries. I have to remember the engineer's name. It wasn't Tony Humphries, but I did a lot of that. But I had cut myself badly with a razor blade. Because you have to edit tape with a razor blade back in the day, and somehow it cut me down to the bone. It was just, I was really hurt. It was like I couldn't get rid of that pain because it was right on the nerve. Anyway, so I had to leave that session. But when they met her over the darn WBLS, because she was doing an answer to whoever did the Roxanne,
yeah, UTFO.
UTFO. So she did she did something over the radio. They said, no, you got to meet us at this. They picked her up or did whatever. They got her to the studio, and they had to calm her down. That was not a girl you wanted to play with. If it came to the dozens, she could just make you feel like this. She knew that stuff. And she was using vulgarity, and they said, well, you got to calm it down. So she did, and the rest is history. But yeah, that kind of thing. I was on a lot of tough records. I was on a lot of.
You didn't do Davey DMX, did you? No. Tough record. Davey DMX from out of England. 1 for the treble, 2 for the bass. Come on, Davey. No, okay. I just wanted to be sure. Yeah. Okay, we got the cut right here. Okay. This is the film review. Let's introduce your new artist.
Okay.
And tell us where you're going with it and what's the plan.
Okay. So 6.5 years ago, I was doing lights and sound for a talent show that this lady was putting on. And Dimitri Reeves came on. He was doing Michael Jackson. He was lip syncing and doing the dance moves. And for whatever reasons, my CD player did not like his CD, and it started skipping. And then it would start going again, and Dimitri weathered it out, but I know he was like, geez, this is terrible. So I saw the moves that he was doing, and I said, I've always been looking for an entertainer, somebody that can moonwalk, float, and spin. If you know those 3 moves, they're the magic tricks of live entertainment as far as dance. If you're gonna do flips and something else, that's fine too, but those 3 moves, it's gonna stop traffic. So I went to him and said, if you can sing, we can really do something. So I brought him into the studio. He thought he could just wow me with his vocals. His vocals were as flat as that wall. He could not hear pitch, didn't know timing, none of it. So I said, well, listen, I'll help you out, and if I see what we can do, and just sign with me, so we have some kind of paper that says, okay, this is what I'm committed to this, I'm committed to that, and
is that hard to get people to sign? I mean, like he told the story over the radio, about how his parents was like,
they thought
no.
I was going to do what somebody did to TLC or whatever they allegedly did.
Allegedly,
to TLC.
yeah, right.
Put the allegedly in there.
Right.
I did it anyway. So,
so is it hard to get people to sign contracts because they've heard all the horror stories, all the movies are out?
Not with me, because I've made a hit record. So that gives me like credibility. If I was some schmuck off the street just saying, hey, I can do this for your kid, that may get a little dicey, but I haven't had that problem because people see that I'm serious. Okay, that said, it took Dimitri, like 7 months because he was showing compassion and alliance to his aunt who was trying to help him out, taking him to So You Think You Can Dance and America's Got Talent and taking him all over and stuff like that. I would call him every once in a while saying, your aunt's a hairdresser, nothing against her, but what are you doing? So he was sitting, I knew what he was doing. He was sitting by the phone, waiting for the phone to ring so they could do something else. So once enough time went by, I called him one time and said, listen, you just need to come on and let's do this. And my plan was, I don't know if I told him that day, but is to put him on the street like they did with James Brown back in the day. They got a flatbed truck, drove it through hoods, and he performed, and it got
those are the stories that they don't tell in the movies on the come up of the artist. They just show you they went to the studio one day, they were discovered, and then pow. They don't talk about being on the street and actually doing it. So Dimitri, so when he told you as you were going to be on the street. What did you think?
I thought it was bad shit. So I'm at my aunt's house. I was waiting for him. He broke his arm trying to set up lights for me for the backstage because he wanted to shoot a promo for me for Michael Jackson.
Dislocated my shoulder.
Dislocated his shoulder. But before that, when I was going to sign with him, he said to me, he said, come on, sign with me. I said no, because my aunt just she was taking me around. She's my aunt. I didn't want to seem like I'm backstabbing her. She put a lot of time into me. So after that, he told me, just do it. I said, can you promise me a record deal? He said, yes, if I can take you wherever you want to go. Let me take the wheel. I said, okay, what the hell? Then I got cold feet again, but then he showed up, and, it's like I said in the interview, he showed up, whatever. But we went on the street corner, got on the street, fast forward, we're on the street corner. I'm dancing on the street, thinking, I'm like, oh, we went out there with a speaker, my heart's beating real fast. Vaughn's like, come on, we're going to do this. And I got scared. We pull up with the Z, we walk across the street, Upton.
Pennsylvania Avenue and Upton Street in Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
With a little speaker. I mean, this high off the table.
Yeah.
One of those
portable.
Bluetooth speakers.
It was a Samsung.
Yeah.
It was a Samsung.
Okay.
So we
They kick sound.
Yeah.
Those Bluetooths kick sound. It's incredible.
They do, but I got spoiled because we got 4 big Yamaha, right? Yamaha speakers. So I got spoiled with that. You bring that now, I'm gonna feel like it's like toot, like that,
like transistors.
Yeah. So we go out there. Police come up and they say we need a permit. After we got a crowd and everything. Now I'm addicted. But at first I was so scared. I had my Michael Jackson clothes on. I felt like people were laughing at me. They're gonna make fun of me. Vaughan said, "Who gives a fuck? Who cares? This is your life, And we just kept on doing it from there. We got our license, went on the street corner, and man, we killed it. Man, we had people. The police had to come around and thought people were rioting or fighting. Something was going on because we had piles of people sitting on their car like a live concert.
From that reaction that they gave, you saw what he told you was true. What he saw in you.
Yeah. Yes,
right?
sir.
So you're here in Vegas. Mm-hmm. What's the goal here?
To get him to be a headliner in a casino. He's learned how to sing.
Can I sing something to the single ladies real quick? Man, what time it is? This is more here, KCEP. Do what you do.
To all the single ladies taking care of home, raising all their kids on their own. To all the single ladies sitting home alone, don't know where their next meal's coming from. To all the single ladies, you'll make it, and with the struggles on your back, but your face never shows it. And you make it, and with the struggles on your back, but your face never shows it. You drop your kids off to school, but something just don't feel right.
When he was doing all that stuff on the street, the Michael Jackson voice was there, but he could do all the moves. I mean, all of them. And people loved it, and everybody appreciated it. But I said, you can't go anywhere with that. You've got to learn how to sing. He tried his hardest not to sing. It's been 6.5 years, and we just moved here 17. This Saturday will make the 3rd Saturday we've been here. And to date what's today's date, may I ask? Do you know?
May 10th.
So, May 10th. So tomorrow, the 11th, will be. Today's Thursday?
Mm-hmm. No, today's Thursday.
Okay. So
no, today's Friday.
Yeah,
Friday, May 10th.
Right. His days move.
So tomorrow will make 3 weeks, literally. Yeah. But Garth Brooks, he's let me be, Dimitri's let me be Mr. Miyagi to his Karate Kid. Learn Garth Brooks. Why do I need, he's not questioning me. Why do I need to learn that? Because when you play country crowd, you're going to have that song where you can wow them. And if they don't like that song because they don't like Garth Brooks, then we got a Michael Jackson. And if they don't like that, you're going to do Prince. And if you don't like that, we're going to do Jerry Lee Lewis. You shook my body and you rattled my brain.
Great balls of fire.
He does that. He does all the moves. He doesn't just stand there. If he stood there, we wouldn't be here. He does AC/DC. You shook me all night, and he sounds like whatever that voice is. He's mastered that.
Who's on the guitars on that? Because that AC/DC.
Yeah.
That's rock and roll. That's a rock and roll album right there.
Elvis Presley, he does all the moves. So that if you don't like, and now I want him to learn Andre Broselli. He's opera. If you look online, he does James Brown and Andre Broselli do It's a Man's World. And Andre Broselli does it in Italian, and James Brown does it in English, and a whole full symphony orchestra behind them, and everybody in the crowd is dressed to the nines, so we can get that crowd as well. because now it takes you into a whole nother platform, and that's what you have to do nowadays. If you think you're going to be 2 Chainz or any other rapper that's popular, you're one in a millions that are trying to do the same thing. If you don't have an act, it's hard. You're going down a hard road. Spotify pays 0.006 cents per download, upload, whatever you're doing. You have to have 100 people do that on Spotify with your song to make 6 cents. The math isn't good. Nobody's buying anything. When's the last time you bought a record or a CD or downloaded something and paid for it? Usually you go online, you get it for free, you get your fix, you turn the damn thing off or record it or whatever you do. So the music business is dead. The entertainment business will never
die.
go away.
Okay, so we're running on time,
Go.
and you're like, we did KCEP allowed us to use the spot, so we're about an hour.
Okay.
So this is good. So we have to cover here because there's so much
Okay.
more that we want to talk about. But in closing, let's talk about how to get in contact with you, how they can see you, because visuals are everything.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up.
They can see us. We'll be on the streets of Las Vegas with Dimitri and the truck that we have.
We should try Fremont Street. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, but Fremont Street.
They give you a certain amount of time.
No,
and
you're standing in a circle that is, just take 4 feet and a 4 foot circumference, and that's it. You can't leave that circle. We already been there to figure out. We want those stages. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's and we'll do things for free. Get in the door and then unscrew the hinges so the door never closes on you. And if you're good at what you do, that's what will happen. And then they'll want to give you money because you're making them money. It's the music business. Right. If you're in it for music, then anything you write or record, I'm going to tell you, it's the best thing since sliced bread. If you want to make money at it, be an entertainer. That's where you're going to make it. You always make your money on live shows.
And so how do they get in contact with you now?
410-963-8819. Repeat, 410-963-8819. And Dimitri will give you the website or the social media.
www.dimitrireeves.com, DIMITRIREEVES. That's how you spell my name. Check out my music, my original music as well, and me on YouTube and everything else. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook. I follow back. Reach out, send me a message. I communicate.
Okay, and that's it. Listen.
Thank you so much.
This has been a pleasure sitting here with Vaughan and Dimitri.
Well, I've been sitting on attack for the past hour, so I'm a little uncomfortable, but
Wow, that's dedication, though.
that's
That's
right.
old. That's
Scorpios.
classic.
Scorpios.
Listen, so we want to say this has been another great Lordland Films production of the film review on the road. Sitting here with the Funketeer,
Thank you.
Vaughan Mason,
Thank you.
and his newest artist, Dimitri.
Reeves.
That's it. And so we're out of here. We're out. Lordland Films.
This is another great episode of the film review.
Here's the thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Festival community. Heart.